Hello and welcome to J Times, where we uncover the Kabbalah take on Jewish issues and current events. With me, as usual, is Kabbalist Dr. Michael Leitman. Hello, Dr. Leitman.
Hello.
And in this show, we want to continue discussing the Jewish holidays. One of the most important days in the Jewish calendar is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. As a child, it's a day that I always dreaded. How would I go through the fasting and all that? And I was also debating whether or not to fast at all. And when we talk about Kabbalah, it seems to take on a completely different meaning, because here we have 5 abstentions, while in Kabbalah it seems like the whole abstention thing becomes somehow a celebration, a day of joy. How is that?
Because our whole direction in life is toward the final correction, something very special, where we achieve an eternal life, a higher life, a limitless life. Within, while we still live here, we don't die. The human part in us doesn't die. If I discover that part in myself, and we talked about it on the Rosh Hashanah program, that if I discover the human part in me, the Adam in me, I belong to eternity. I no longer feel dependent on the body. The body could live or die. It doesn't bother me. I'm completely free of that, like taking off a dirty shirt, throwing it into the laundry, the very same way I leave my body and keep on existing, because I'm the Adam part.
You consciously continue to exist?
In feeling, not only in my consciousness, but in feeling. That's how I live. If I make that connection with the higher world, I feel that way.
So it becomes a tangible existence, not just in the mind, but a tangible existence.
Of course.
Without a body.
My body exists in this world for a certain period of time, and I've already risen in my consciousness and to a higher level called the Adam level, and I live on a completely different level now. I already live now in a higher realm, in a higher world, and for me that is the main thing. And I don't feel any problems in this life like I felt before, where my entire life was concentrated on this world. But just as when I cut my nails, I don't feel that, because it's the vegetative and the body is the living level. So I can, cut them off and not feel anything. The same way, when I rise to the level of the Adam, it's like cutting off my corporeal life, and I don't feel that I'm suffering from that. I don't feel that I'm losing anything. This is the difference between the degrees. We're not there aware of it. We didn't think about it during life, but this is what the wisdom of Kabbalah explains to us.
So as a Kabbalist, if you go to a dentist, does it still hurt you?
Yes, of course I feel the pain, but inside this life I feel the pain. When I pass away, I feel that the body has passed away. It's also a part of me nonetheless, but I don't feel that I pass away. I feel that something leaves me. I get rid of it. That there was something that was a part of me, and now I let it go.
But does it hurt?
I saw it on several Kabbalists that it was completely different than with ordinary people. It's a day of happiness. The day that we usually mourn about and cry, it's because we don't understand of how it is there on the higher dimension on which a person is compared to our lower dimension. There's nothing worse than our world.
Seems like there's no sorrow in the upper world.
No, there isn't. The wisdom of Kabbalah, therefore, it brings us to a life that is really fulfilled with happiness and joy. So the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, was a special day in terms of we discover how bad we are, how much we need to correct ourselves, the extent to which we're incapable in the time being to do anything about ourselves.
In what way?
It's actually very typical for us.
For Jews, yes.
That we discover in our world, what can we do? Today, specifically, we're in a world where we barely have any control over anything. Complete lack of control. And then, since I'm incapable of doing anything, I really don't do anything. And therefore, we have 5 torments, that it's forbidden to eat and drink, and 5 mortification, and to wear leather, and so on and so forth. We have 5 of these mortifications. And pray. And all of our prayers, save us from all the evil in which we are, meaning that we agree that in bad egoistic qualities, I acknowledge that it is the Creator that has created this in me, because it says I've created the evil inclination, then I demand for a great higher light to come, because really on the Day of Kippur there is a very great and special light called the light of Yechidah. It's the greatest possible light, and that light, it works on a person according to the extent to which a person asks and how he has to get rid of his evil. And his evil is the ego that separates him from others, rejects him from others. So a person actually asks, let me unite with everyone. I want to be connected, because by being connected with everyone, I let my ego go and pass from the place of hatred to love. Instead of Mount Sinai, I move to the holy mountain meaning bestowal.
We ask him to forgive us for our sins. Why, if it's his doing?
Very true. The Creator did that.
Yes, so why we should be mad at him instead.
But no, we don't have to get mad at him, because we start acknowledging how the ascent from the bad to the good gives me the feeling of life, understanding of what he did, because just like if we're not hungry, we can't be satiated. If there's no darkness, there's no light. We always measure and feel our life between 2 edges, plus and minus. And that's how any living being, life is the special connection between plus and minus, electrons and positrons, absorption and emission. Life is this motion between these 2 edges, and therefore our spiritual life is also built that way, between these 2 edges, between the evil force where I've created the evil inclination, and you will turn it into the good force through the light which I give you. This is what the Creator says. And then I simply have to acknowledge the evil. From the evil, I already understand what is the good, which is opposite to it supposed to be, and then I pray how to move from that evil to the good. And these 2 forces exist in me, and then between them I feel the spiritual life, the spiritual world.
I see. So he created me egoistic so that I would want to be altruistic, and that I would also want to become altruistic and experience the whole process of becoming altruistic, right? Okay, so I understand that. I don't feel it, but intellectually I understand.
All of the mitzvot in the Torah, that's what they are. To be as one man, one heart. All of Israel are friends. Love another as thyself. Don't do to others what you hate. All the main principles, the main mitzvot, they all speak about unity, connection, good attitude toward people. And it's not to simply have a good attitude toward people, like you say, that there's like altruism here. We're not an altruistic organization.
And what are we?
We correct ourselves to be in love toward others in order from that to come to the feeling of the higher world, in order to reach the revelation of the Creator from that. It's something completely different. It's a completely different goal than all the altruistic organizations.
Oh, that's why you were talking about having both sides, and then in the struggle between them we discovered the upper world, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I understand it. I don't feel it, but intellectually. I still am having trouble with forgiveness and also with vengeance, because we say that God is a jealous God, and I don't understand these concepts, forgiveness and God's jealousy.
By acknowledging our evil, we come to know that it's the Creator doing that, and He did that in order for us to ask to invert it, and all our prayers are save us from that and pass us on to a different place, opposite to that place, to the good place. Meaning our prayer is all about correction, and it's not, it doesn't disturb me that He has created that in me, because He has created that in me on purpose, so that I'll exist as a creature in between these two forces, between the plus and the minus. Therefore, I'm not looking at the minus as something bad. It's the evil inclination, but I need it. It's the angel of death that then becomes the holy angel.
Yes, but it's not my fault, so why does He need to forgive me?
It's not the matter of fault. It's not that you're to blame. We're asking for forgiveness. By that we want to come out of these qualities. This is actually what my request is about. It's not like ordinary people think that we're asking for forgiveness for whatever. If I was born with bad qualities, am I to blame? If I grew up in a home or in a bad environment that I got a bad education from, am I to blame? After the age of 20, after kindergarten and school and university and so on, after radio, television, everything there is, now I'm 20 years old, look at myself. Who am I? Did I make myself this way? No,
Right.
Society did.
So none of it is...
I was born with specific qualities, and society gave me additional values, and that's who I am now. So if I do something bad, do I do something bad? Or are those who taught me and gave me these kinds of examples to blame? Why do I have to be punished for some action that I do wrong? Suppose now that I have to go to prison. Hollywood should be put into prison for giving me bad examples or what I got in school, but no, I'm not to blame, right?
Yes, but then society would fall apart.
I'll ask furthermore. Society will fall apart, yes. It deserves to. They should build themselves differently. It should build itself differently. Suppose now I'm standing before the judge, and the judge says, you did this and you did that, and I explain to him, it's not me. Who am I? I'm all in all, this is how I was made. I came out of the oven this way. And this is why I did what I did. I myself, I didn't know to do like this or to do like that. I did it automatically. He says, doesn't matter, go to prison for 5 years, suppose. I go to prison. I come out of prison after 5 years, and again I do some crime. What should they do with me now? They bring me before the same judge, and what am I supposed to tell that judge? You have to go to prison. You didn't give me a correction. You put me into some place where instead of correcting me, it corrupted me even more. So why am I to blame now? You're to blame that you did not turn me into a good kid. So you have to go to prison, Mr. Judge.
So God, we should be mad at God for making us like that.
Do you understand how much we have to change our environment, society, values, and the whole attitude to life? And this is what we're asking from the Day of Atonement.
To do what?
Save us from all the bad things, so that I'm really influenced by, I've absorbed them, you prepared them for me, but now I acknowledge this, and therefore I'm asking for you to relieve me or rid me of it. And the Creator has to do it if I ask, because He created me this way on purpose for me to turn to Him, for me to have a connection with Him, for me to have a demand, to come to Him with something, with a complaint, but to have a connection. He wants me to be connected with Him, and therefore He, twists me through life in order for me to become needy of Him. It's like in our life. If you don't want to pay attention to me, you as if look in different directions, and I want you to nonetheless be connected with me. So I make different circumstances and conditions around you where that leaves you no choice but to come to me and ask for help or something. So this is what he does. This is what you meant by jealous?
And I was asking about jealousy and forgiveness. I haven't received an answer for any of them. I still don't understand forgiveness. I understand it's not like forgiving in our world, what we think of normally as forgiving. What is forgiving, I still don't know.
We, in all these prayers, if you ask Kabbalists, on all these prayers, we are in reciprocal work with the Creator. I feel that force. I'm with that force in correspondence, united. We're working together. I for the Creator and the Creator for me. We're working together on my evil in order to correct me and bring me to good. He as the Creator, as the Father, suppose, and I as the child, as a student, as a creature, and that's how we work between us. And I acknowledge part, and I ask for him to show me and do this and do like that, and he again. It's reciprocal, and I learn from this whole conversation how am I supposed to become like him. By that I acquire his profession. That's why it says, return the sons of Israel up to the Creator your God, meaning I have to reach him, come to know him, be on his level, take his place, be instead of him.
So would it be fair to say that we can translate the word forgiveness into correction? Forgive me means correct me?
Of course. But again, we're only talking about people who discovered the higher force.
I'm asking about the Kabbalistic spiritual perspective.
An interaction with
Okay.
Yes.
And what about vengeance?
Revenge, vengeance, kind of hard to explain. A person who hates his nature, he has to hate his state, wherever he is, really wanting to destroy it, kill all those qualities in him. It gives him the possibility to disconnect from his nature. And also, he has to be very jealous of the Creator's nature of that degree in order to be drawn to it. There have to be these two forces here. One is the pushing force, the hatred, the revenge, all the negative forces and feelings, and the good forces, love, the inclination toward it. Really, that's what I want.
Of rejection, you mean rejection of the ego?
Yes.
And love or envy.
The quality of bestowal.
The quality of bestowal. When I want also to be like that. Okay. So what do we atone in the Day of Atonement?
We ask for the general correction of a person to correct me from any evil, to disconnect me from any evil and raise me above it. That is the Day of Atonement. Because the Day of Atonement is Kippurim, like the holiday of Purim. So Kippur is Kippurim, like Purim. Why? Because the day of Purim is the final correction. It's when I reach the final station. Everything's corrected. There's no difference, good and bad, and everything's corrected and everything's fine. Therefore, it says that there's no difference between Mordechai and Haman. Whereas now, we merely disconnect on the day of Kippur. We begin the path after Rosh Hashanah. We disconnect. We raise ourselves above our ego. And then, after all the rest of the times and the holidays, we correct ourselves. We correct all the evil. We invert it into good until we reach Purim. And from Purim, it's the other way. It's the complete opposite. Eat and drink and get drunk and limitlessly. That is the sign of the final correction, where all of your desires are completely corrected. Whatever you do, for sure, it'll come out good.
Sounds like complete hedonism to me.
You are conscious, you are in control, but you have limitless possibilities. The sign is that you get intoxicated and eat and drink limitlessly, but the truth is that it's the highest possible state when you become as the creator. It controls nature. There are no limitations, there's no life, no death. Everything is infinity.
And there's no danger of me corrupting again, committing sins?
No. There are only higher ascents above that. We have to undergo the change during the 6,000 years from Adam HaRishon. We count our calendar. Today is 5,772. And now we can finish as well, even before. But besides the 6,000 years, there are further ascents. The 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th thousands, there are higher ascents, but in the spiritual world.
Okay, now I have a question like this. These are all the Jewish holidays. But
it's not everything. There are more.
No. I'm saying these are all Jewish holidays. But the end of correction entails the whole of humanity. And yet the nations of the world don't have these holidays. So does it mean that they don't go through that process?
They will not undergo this process. Immediately they'll connect to our correction.
So they should at least celebrate Purim.
Yes. Purim, yes. We correct ourselves gradually, one after the other, many phases, because we're capable of doing that. We have reshimot, meaning preparations from already being on those levels, and they will join us immediately, all at once. And it says so in the wisdom of Kabbalah that that's the difference between the vessels of the Jewish people and the nations of the world.
What do you mean by vessels?
Vessels meaning desires, that we have to correct our desires gradually and all at once. They change themselves from hatred to love, unite with us, and that's it. Therefore, don't look at the whole world, how corrupted it is. Look at yourself. Look at our people. If we correct ourselves, the whole world will immediately become corrected.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, I would kindly ask that you would summarize perhaps the meaning of a holiday and specifically the meaning of Yom Kippur, so that we have a nice little package to go home with.
The day of Kippur, the day of Atonement, it's, well, first of all, it's the Kol Nidrei, the special prayer in the evening. What's special about the day of Kippur is what we call the Haftarah, that there we read about Jonah, the prophet.
Yes, but that's a whole other topic. What I would like is for the viewers to have a summary, really.
No, but just one word about it, because that's the main thing.
1 minute.
It says about Jonah, the prophet, that he wanted to run away from correcting the world. The Creator sent him to correct the world in Nineveh, the big city. And he didn't want to correct it, and he ran away. And then he went on that ship. He wanted to escape from his task, his mission. And he was forcefully returned through the big fish that swallowed him, and so on. He nevertheless came back to Nineveh, corrected it, and then the Creator told him, you see, you had to correct it. You wanted to run away, but it's so precious. How could you allow yourself to do that? And that is what we read on the day of Kippur, in order not to forget that really, besides coming to correct ourselves, we have to also keep what the prophet Jonah tells us to do, correct the whole world. That's the main thing, and people pay a lot of money to read it on the day of Kippur, because it's the symbol that I'm ready to pay everything in order to take Jonah's role.
And that, dear viewers, was the summary of this show, and I think of most of our shows. Thank you very much, Dr. Lightman, for being with us. I wish you all the best, and bye.